This is the material.
Well, it is the final day of testing for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, meaning that the long-awaited transit project is one step closer to opening.
An Ontario-based steel producer announced that it will cut hundreds of jobs amid the ongoing trade war.
And Prime Minister Mark Carney shuffles his cabinet, bringing back a familiar face from Justin Trudeau's government.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Phil Perkins. Thanks for joining us. Here is our top story. Well, there is still no timeline for displaced residents to return to their homes as the fire continues to burn at two East York apartment buildings.
CP24 Steve Ryan joins us live from Thorncliffe Park with the latest, continuing our live coverage. Steve.
Yeah, guys, Toronto fire crews have been here since Thursday afternoon, just after 1:30. 11 Thorncliffe Park and 21 Overley are the two addresses. They're two condos that are attached, and between the two condos are concrete walls. Within those concrete walls are expansion joints, and according to the fire chief, within those expansion joints is this material that he described as particle board like. That is the material that is burning, and Toronto Fire are having a heck of a time getting to that burning area. So they've called in engineers to assist with helping them figure out a way to get at that fire, which continues to burn. In the meantime, hundreds of people have been displaced, and the fire chief said today he certainly recognizes the inconvenience of people being displaced from their homes, but safety is the #1 priority, and people cannot return until such time that Toronto Fire are confident that they were able to distinguish all of that fire that's been going on since Thursday. We did hear from the fire chief earlier on, and we heard from the City of Toronto as well. And here's more from the chief and from Joanna Bevan with the City of Toronto. Let's listen to both.
The Toronto Fire Service engineers and inspectors and the Toronto Building Engineers Inspectors concurrently right now are already working on and drafting plans on what it looks like when we extinguish this fire and how do we get people back as quickly as possible while doing it safely. So all of that work is being done at the same time while we continue to fight this fire, and that work will continue so that the minute this is out and Toronto Fire Service declares it is safe to return, any additional orders, remedial work, safety work, all of those plans will be in place so there is no delay.
The emergency supports that we have been giving these residents, we have extended them till Thursday. We look at this on a daily basis, working very closely with Toronto Fire Services and our partners to continue to assess the situation and the needs. What this includes is the hotel, food, basic hygiene supplies, and some transportation expenses provided by the Canadian Red Cross as per our agreement with Canadian Red Cross. Again, we continue to look at this on a case-by-case basis.
The chief had said that the cause, origin, and circumstances of the fire will be investigated once the fire is out. But as the Chief Jessup said many times, personal safety will not be compromised. So until such time, the people that live in this building will be displaced until such time that he and other fire investigators are satisfied that there is no longer a danger as a result of the fire. So back to you guys.
Definitely better be safe than sorry. Steve Ryan, thanks so much. Appreciate that report from East York. Also, a house has been destroyed by a fire, this time in Aurora.
A Chopper 24 was over the scene. This is on Beaubert Trail near Leslie and Bloomington Road. The fire started around 4 o'clock this morning, and police say everyone was able to get out of the house safely. Neighboring homes were evacuated as a precaution. The cause is being investigated.
And in North York, fire crews responded to the scene of a house fire on Finch Avenue near Bathurst. This came in around 4:15 a.m. Police say the home was vacant. No one was injured. The cause of the fire not yet known. And an investigation is underway after a car crashed into a heavy-duty forklift in Scarborough. This happened overnight at a construction site at McCowan and Nugget Avenue north of Shepherd. The driver had to be extricated from the vehicle by firefighters. They were taken to a trauma center with serious injuries.
Well, there's still no firm opening day for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, but this is the final day of a key testing phase.
All right, CP24's Andrew Brennan joins us live outside one of the stations, still not active yet.
No, it is still not active yet, Phil. Bakari, it is behind me. They are using it as if it is in operation, but there are, like, you know, those pool floaties that or like giant pool noodles that you see? They have like 2 of those that are above the entranceway. So there's no people still going through. And we still do not know exactly when the LRT for Eglinton, the long promised crosstown, will be in operation. We have basically it's not a ballpark. Okay, this is the exact quote of the Transportation Minister, Prabmeet Sarkaria, today. He said, we, direct quote here, are so close to getting the Eglinton LRT. What does that mean? You did mention this is the last day of testing, this 30-day period where they are testing it, again, with no one on the train except for the operator, and basically going through the motions of operating it like it was being used for service. But that's done now. If the Finch LRT is any ballpark here, it would be 6 weeks from the end of this testing phase before what's going to happen in a week from now. The Finch LRT is supposed to be online as of December 7th. That's 6 weeks from that end date. Will that happen does remain to be seen. Here's Michael Lindsay, the CEO of Metrolinx, explaining all of this a little bit more in detail. And here are some thoughts from people as to whether or not they believe the government and Metrolinx right now about this timeline after already seeing years of delays.
We have tested this system now across those 30 days in all kinds of weather, and I can tell you that today we believe is the last day of revenue service demonstration for the Eglinton Crosstown. What does that then mean going forward? It means the same things that it did for the Finch West LRT. Over the course of the next week, there'll be final resolution of minor deficiencies. The project will achieve substantial completion. It will be ready. We will then work with partners at the TTC, as we are doing each and every day, to think about the ramp up of passenger service and the first date that we put passengers on this system.
I've been seeing it for almost a year, shunting up and down, and I think it will be a big relief.
And then they're going to find another excuse, right? So it's been years and years of excuses, and it's really frustrating. Like, I live on this line, and it's frustrating that it's built, but it's never open.
So just very quickly, Phil Bakara, you did notice that Michael Lindsay said he believes this is the end of the 30-day test period. So just because of the language being used, and again, the fact that we don't have a day here, and the fact that unlike the Finch LRT, Eglinton was stymied by delays year over year, we do not know if that timeline will hold for Eglinton. And like I said before, several times earlier on today, a lot of people that I've spoken to, I've said, this is potentially when it could open. What do you think? And they say, I'll believe it when I see it. So we will have to see. Back to you both.
Oh boy, yeah, it's kind of, you kind of have to laugh to keep from crying. All right, Andrew Brennan, thanks so much, appreciate that. Well, the province is extending its One Fare program for transit users in the GTA.
Well, the program was introduced last year. It allows transit riders to pay only once when transferring between the TTC, GO Transit, and several other transit agencies in the GTA. The province says that the One Fare program is going to be extended for another 2 years. Transit riders can use a physical or digital Presto card, debit card, credit card to access One Fare by tapping on and off with the same card for the full trip.
Speaking of transit, there's an early nightly subway closure you need to know about along Line 1.
The TTC says service is going to end at 11 p.m. tonight through Wednesday. This is going to be between Eglinton and Shepherd Young due to tunnel work. All stations will remain open for customers to purchase fares and connect with surface vehicles. Regular service, that's going to resume 6 a.m. each morning.
And speaking of the subway, crews were on the scene of a fire at Eglinton Station last night. They were called around 9:45 reports of flames coming from the station's bathroom. The fire involved paper materials and was quickly put out.
It's 5:09, 3 below zero. This is Live at 5.
When we come back, the city plans to add more bike lanes despite the provincial restrictions on new cycling infrastructure.
The city says it has a plan to install more bike lanes that will comply with provincial restrictions for new cycling infrastructure.
Yeah, for more details, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan. Melissa, tell us more.
Hey there, Bakari and Phil. Okay, so some of the proposed new bike lanes, the 20 kilometers worth of them, would go along this stretch. So this is Kingston Road between Cliffside Drive and Scarborough Golf Club Road. And it's kind of a common sense approach that the city is talking about to be able to add new lanes in while still meeting those very tough provincial restrictions that Ontario has put in place for adding new bike lanes to municipalities. So here's what they're going to do. If there are lanes of traffic that are wider than the minimum requirement, they're going to narrow them. Maybe there's some on-street parking, removing that, and instead putting bike lanes in their place. And what we're hearing from the city is that this would comply with all of those rules coming from Queen's Park. We heard more today from Mayor Olivia Chow about what the city's kind of drawing up here. Have a listen.
The bike lanes will be installed, the car lanes will remain, and the design of the road is better. So we're moving ahead. I think the legislation that is, I believe, Bill 60 from the provincial government said that if a car lanes remain, it's just go ahead. So I think it was just talking about where a traffic lane, a car lane have been removed, then it's a different question.
We've seen gridlock at an all-time high here in the city. But for us, if the vehicle lane is still there, that is in compliance with the legislation. And so we will continue to work with the city on that. But most importantly, whether it be on the other lanes of traffic that we have looked at with respect to the bike lane legislation, it is about reinstating vehicle lanes. If there is a way in which you can have both a vehicle lane and a bike lane on the same street, then that is okay.
So that's the reaction coming from the transportation minister, not rejecting the idea that's coming from the city. So looking like there is a possibility for adding this 20 kilometers worth of bike lanes. Other areas that they're looking at, some local roadways, also Keele between Steeles and Finch. This is still a plan. It's not a done deal just yet. It's set to go to the city's Infrastructure and Environment Committee meeting. That is on Thursday. It's part of a plan that also includes some different road safety measures. All in all, Phil and Bakari, this plan price tag with it coming in at just over $30 million. Back to you.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, a lot of bike lanes downtown, but once you get a little bit outside of that, it's tough to bike out there safely. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Moving on, though, the union representing workers at the city's Community and Seniors Housing Agency says a tentative deal has been reached with its employer. This comes after workers voted overwhelmingly in favor of a strike mandate early last month. QP Local 79, which represents 800 workers with TCHC and TSHC, the union says full details of the agreement will be shared publicly once it's ratified by the members.
Well, the Ford government has taken over the Near North District School Board, claiming deep-rooted dysfunction and mismanagement that have eroded public confidence. So according to the Education Ministry, a recent review of the board found significant failures in governance and leadership, specifically regarding setbacks in opening a new school for students in Parry Sound. It says that the board was given 15 directives to avoid being placed under supervision, but it failed to comply with 10 of them. Legislation passed last month gave Education Minister Paul Calandra more powers to take control of Ontario school boards.
This was a board, or is a board, where the Director of Education was using the corporate credit card. He was housed in a school that was closed 10 years ago, where kids are being taught in a half-demolished, partially demolished school. Where trustees were actively working against their own board, where they disregarded conflict of interest rules, where they were accused of and literally found guilty by our reviewer of going into the community and sowing dissension amongst the community on decisions the board has made. They are the poster child of why we brought Bill 33 forward.
The Ontario Public School Boards Association released a statement that reads in part, quote, local trustees give communities a real voice in their schools, and when that voice is weakened, everyone loses. Supervision should always be a last resort. When it happens, there should be a clear, publicly communicated plan outlining expectations for everyone involved, including a transparent path back to full local governance.
Let's talk housing now. A new report card looking at the state of new housing in Ontario is out, and Toronto received a failing grade. The report, done by Rescon and the University of Ottawa's Missing Middle Initiative, assessed the state of housing sales and construction over the first 9 months of the year. It looked at 34 municipalities in the GTA and Greater Golden Horseshoe. Toronto among 17 cities to receive an F, and another 9 received a D, while the other 8 municipalities received a C or higher. The authors of the report also say the decline in new home construction has a direct impact on the city's labor market.
Well, a new report warns that Ontario is facing increased homelessness, strain on healthcare and community instability.
Now, Feed Ontario's 2025 hunger report reveals over 1 million people relied on food banks last year, the 9th straight year of growth and highest level of demand on record. Now, 1 in 3 people visited a food bank for the first time, while a third of users were kids. 2/3 of food banks are worried that they are not able to sustain their operations over the next 6 months.
And we talked to Daily Bread Food Bank CEO Neil Hetherington this morning.
On the ground every single day, I get to see fellow Torontonians who need the food bank. Folks, 60% have a university education. More than 50% have full-time employment. And so you see our members of the community who have done everything right. They went to school, they got a job, they're working hard, and yet they still need the daily bread. And that's incredibly frustrating. But the hopeful side of things is that there are volunteers who come together and say enough is enough. We need to do something. We need to not wallow in those numbers, but we need to organize and do something about it, feed that need, and advocate for change.
Carolyn Stewart-Stockwell with Feed Ontario spoke to us about the challenges facing food banks in this province.
Many are reducing the types of services that they provide, whether that be cutting wraparound support or even shifting service from, once a week to every other week so that they can support the number of people that are visiting their doors. And so I think what's really concerning for us, and which we outline in the report, is that if food banks fail, the consequences are going to be significant because people turn to food banks after they've exhausted all their other options.
The 2025 Hunger Report outlines key recommendations on how the province can start addressing these changes, including a new approach to poverty reduction.
It is 5:18, feels like -6. You're watching Live at 5.
A school in North York was placed under lockdown after a report of a person with a gun. We're going to have more on that just ahead. A North York high school was locked down at the end of the school day. This is after a report of a person with a gun.
Well, a large response by police at James Cardinal McGuigan Catholic High School near Finch and Keele around 3:30. Police searched the school but say no firearm was found and there was no evidence of any shots fired.
Okay, we're following breaking news. York Regional Police have made 2 arrests. They've also recovered a large amount of stolen property. This is in an investigation into a storage locker break and enter in Vaughan.
Yeah, police have released images of these stolen items that have not yet been claimed, including musical instruments, watches, tools, and collectibles. They're asking anyone who was a victim of a storage locker break and enter between September and November to view the photos online and contact police if anything belongs to you. It's believed the stolen property was being sold through online marketplaces. 44-year-old Anthony Castellano and 42-year-old Aylin Shaman, both of Vaughan, are facing multiple charges, including break and enter and possession of property obtained by crime. Also, Halton police are asking for the public's help finding a missing teenager.
13-year-old Sharif Salo was last seen near Rebecca Street and 3rd Line in Oakville last night around 6 o'clock. He's described as being 5'10" with a medium build and short, curly black hair. And police are concerned for his safety.
We'd love residents to have a look in their backyard, have a look in their garages, have a look in their sheds, and have a look at your security cameras. That's how we know we left on foot. We did have, someone come forward with some footage so we could see him walking down the street. So anybody who lives in that neighborhood, we'd appreciate them taking a peek at their footage and seeing if they caught something on a camera that they've got.
Anyone with information, you're asked to contact Halton Police.
It's 5:22, feels like -6. Watching Live at 5.
And coming up, Prime Minister Mark Carney shuffles his cabinet following the resignation of longtime Minister Stephen Guilbeault.
Welcome back. An Ontario company that has been hit hard by American tariffs is now cutting jobs.
Algoma Steel says that it issued about 1,000 layoff notices today. They're going to take effect March 23rd. Algoma's major buyers are in the U.S. It had been under strain due to the 50% tariffs imposed by the Trump administration last summer. The layoffs come after it was announced in September that the Sault Ste. Marie steelmaker would get $500 million in federal and provincial loan assistance. Algoma says that the cuts are needed to keep the business viable and, rather, in the long term.
And Defense Minister David McGuinty was asked about Algoma Steel ahead of question period today. Here's what he said.
You said that you want to use more Canadian steel in defense. Today, Algoma announced that it's laying off 1,000 workers. How does that impact Canada's ability for getting a trade deal? Does that more pressure on your government in order to avoid future layoffs?
It's a terrible situation, as we've learned here today in Algoma, with respect to Algoma. But I think what this agreement speaks to is our efforts to diversify, to expand our markets, to prepare for Canadian companies to receive incoming investments.
Here's what Ontario's Office of Economic Development had to say, quote, as companies and sectors being targeted by President Trump's tariffs navigate ongoing economic uncertainty, our government will do whatever it takes to protect Ontario workers, businesses, and communities. We provided Algoma a $100 million loan to keep as many workers on the job as possible.
And Prime Minister Mark Carney shuffled his cabinet today.
Montreal MP Mark Miller was sworn in as Minister of Canadian Identity, Culture, and Official Languages. Miller served as Immigration Minister under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He replaces Quebec MP Stephen Guilbeault, who resigned from cabinet last week. Public Works and Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound had the role of Quebec Lieutenant added to his portfolio today, while Julie DeBrusson retains her post as Environment and Climate Change Minister, but also inherits the Nature file.
Okay, so the cabinet shuffle was prompted by Guilbeault's decision to step down on Thursday. He resigned from cabinet to protest a memorandum of understanding that Ottawa signed with Alberta, which could pave the way for the construction of an oil pipeline. Guilbeault had served as Environment Minister in the Trudeau government. He's going to stay on as a Liberal MP.
And a new report shows that hundreds of employees with Canada's federal prison agency were disciplined for misconduct and wrongdoing between April of last year and March of this year.
400 workers were punished for infractions such as sleeping on the job, sexual harassment, and excessive use of force. 12 employees were fired with causes for termination that included bringing in contraband and engaging in sexual activity in the workplace. And some of the other disciplinary measures included 124 suspensions without pay and 2 demotions.
528. -3. You're watching Live at 5.
Well, it is the final day of testing for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, meaning that the long-awaited transit project is one step closer to opening. More on that just ahead.
We're so close on the Crosstown. We are on the last day of revenue service demonstration for that project.
Is this real life? After years of delays, Toronto's most anticipated transit project is finally nearing the finish line. How soon could you ride the Eglinton Crosstown? Details next.
And the city reveals its plan to expand its bike lane network despite the province's crackdown on new cycling infrastructure.
And a particle board stuck behind a wall continues to burn for a 5th straight day at 2 Thorncliffe Park buildings, making one of Toronto Fire's most complex calls in years.
And Prime Minister Mark Carney shuffles his cabinet, bringing back a familiar face from Justin Trudeau's government.
This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Phil Perkins.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. Well, there's still no firm opening date for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, but this is the final day of a key testing phase.
Well, CP24's Andrew Brennan joins us live and also spoke with commuters who have been waiting for this thing to be operational for well over a decade.
Yeah. So, Phil, you asked before, is this real life? To borrow the Queen reference here, some people still think this is fantasy. They've been waiting for an LRT forever. I know I could talk to my dad about him waiting for the LRT, or at least some form of subway back in the 70s and the 80s. So maybe finally it's time, maybe. You showed that clip off the top of the Transportation Minister, Prabmeet Sarkaria. He said, and I quote, "We're so close on the Eglinton LRT." What does that mean? Well, as of today, and this is what the CEO of Metrolink said he believes is the case, but it would be either today or within the next few days. So in this ballpark, this being the end of the testing phase, the no passengers on the trains, but ride them like they are being operated as if passengers were on the trains operation. That wraps up. And after that, there's one small phase left before things are put into operation for actual, like for realsies this time. And what that is a period to work out the last kinks that may have been found in this test phase, but basically last minute adjustments. That's what's supposed to be next. And then here comes the LRT to cross this town as it was promised to 15 years ago was when it was originally supposed to have ground broken. It started in 2011. So this is what the CEO, Michael Lindsay from Metrolink, said today. And Phil, Bakari, some of those commuters you were mentioning.
I can understand the frustration of absolutely everybody associated with this project. But as the minister said today, I think we've got an update and good news. The revenue service demonstration test that we've been talking about for the last couple of months is on its last day. Remember what this revenue service demonstration test is. It is a direct result of the Ottawa LRT inquiry. It is a rigorous test over 30 days to make sure that a system is safe and reliable before we put passengers on it.
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know, because we've been hearing for how long that they're going to open this thing. And look where we're at today. It's on the ending of 2025. So let's see.
Not until I'm alive. Maybe after me, my kids would get to see it.
See, it's not, is this real life? It feels still just like fantasy to these commuters who take this bus behind me, but would like to take one of the trains that has been operating without passengers these past 30 days. So, Phil, Bakari, the question people really want an answer to right now: when is the LRT going to open? Can it open before 2025 is in the rearview mirror? If we're using the LRT on Finch as a ballpark here, it took 6 weeks for the last phase to be done, the kink working outy phase. If that's what happened there, then we're looking at mid-January here. But unlike with the Finch LRT, Eglinton was marred with delays. So we're going to have to see. And yeah, basically that's where we're at. No answer, but maybe likely soon.
We'll have to see.
Back to you.
If this thing's open up in the middle of January, snow, ice, this thing is like half above ground, I'm not feeling good. We'll have to see about it. Andrew, thanks so much.
Well, the city says that it has a plan to install more bike lanes that will comply with provincial restrictions. This is for cycling infrastructure.
Yeah, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan. You know, some bikes go faster than LRTs, I'll be honest, especially if there is a bike lane.
And sometimes those bikes will go faster than traffic, too, when you're seeing major slowdowns. You know, the city of Toronto and the province, they have butted heads when it comes to bike lanes before. But the idea we're hearing about today seems to be kind of a conflict-free zone. The first reaction we're getting from the province is kind of a thumbs up. What we're hearing about is a plan for 20 kilometers of new bike lanes, including where I am right now, along Kingston Road between Cliffside Drive and Scarborough Golf Club Road, along with some other local roads, also Keele, a stretch of that also could see some more bike lanes. But the idea here is that no lanes of traffic will be removed to make way for them. And that really conforms with the strict regulations that the province has put in place. So instead, how they're going to work around those strict rules is laneways that are wider than the minimum. They will be made more narrow. If there's street parking that is in the way, that would be removed to allow for these bike lanes to be put in place. Let's let Mayor Olivia Chow explain more of what we might be seeing.
The bike lanes will be installed. The car lanes will remain. And the design of the road is better. So we're moving ahead. I think the legislation that is, I believe, Bill 60 from the provincial government said that if a car lanes remain, it's just go ahead. So I think it was just talking about where a traffic lane, a car lane has been removed, then it's a different question.
So narrowing of some lanes, removing some on-street parking would make room for these bike lanes. Removing of some on-street parking, that would allow for the bike lanes to be in the section where I am. There are 62 on-street spots that would be removed. The city saying taking those away would lead to a loss of revenue of about $23,000, so something to keep in mind there. So we are getting reaction from the province on this proposal coming from the city today. The transportation minister reacting. Here's what he had to say.
We've seen gridlock at an all-time high here in the city. But for us, if the vehicle lane is still there, that is in compliance with the legislation. And so we will continue to work with the city on that. But most importantly, whether it be on the other lanes of traffic that we have looked at with respect to the bike lane legislation, it is about reinstating vehicle lanes. If there is a way in which you can have both a vehicle lane and a bike lane on the same street, then that is okay.
This plan from the city for these additional 12 kilometers worth of bike lanes, a part of a proposal that also includes some road safety measures, some road improvement measures, all in all expected to cost about $30 million. It is not a done deal yet. Next step, it's set to go to the city's Infrastructure and Environment Committee. Phil and Kari, that's set for Thursday. Back to you.
All right, Melissa Duggan, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, speaking of the Ford government, they have taken over the Near North District School Board, claiming deep-rooted dysfunction and mismanagement that have eroded public confidence.
According to the Education Ministry, a recent review of the board found significant failures in governance and leadership, specifically regarding setbacks in opening a new school for students in Parry Sound. So it says that the board was given 15 directives to avoid being placed under supervision, but it failed to comply with 10 of them. Legislation passed last month, which gave Education Minister Paul Calandra more powers to take control of Ontario school boards.
One of the most important things that we had to do is we wanted the Director of Education to move back into the building. We don't know whether the Director of Education actually not only did not move back into the building where he was supposed to work, we actually don't even know if he's still an employee of the board or not. They don't. We've heard that he's been fired. We've heard that he's taken a leave of absence, and we've heard that he's on sick leave. We don't know where they're going with that.
And this is what the Ontario Public School Board Association had to say, quote, local trustees give communities a real voice in their schools, and when that voice is weakened, everyone loses. Supervision should always be a last resort. When it happens, there should be a clear, publicly communicated plan outlining expectations for everyone involved, including a transparent path back to full local governance.
It's 5:39, 3 below zero. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
Coming up, residents at 2 Thorncliffe Park condos remain displaced, staying in hotels with no timeline to return after a complex fire continues to smolder.
Well, there's no timeline for displaced residents to return to their homes. This is after a fire continues to burn at 2 East York apartment buildings.
Yeah, CP24 Steve Ryan joins us live from Thorncliffe Park with the latest. Steve, are people getting a little impatient by this? I know firefighters are being meticulous and being safe, but have you spoken to any residents who are saying, what's going on here?
Yeah, no. Haven't, Phil, to be quite honest with you. I have spoken with people throughout the day, and what they have said to me is they appreciate the thoroughness of Toronto Fire in making sure that this fire is absolutely flat out before people are allowed back into the homes. Look, the fire chief today recognized that this is an inconvenience for people, but he said safety will not be compromised. So what we're talking about here are 2 condos, one at 11 Thorncrest and the other at 21 Overlea. They are attached, and between them is a concrete wall. Between that concrete are expansion joints, and the fire chief said that in between those expansion joints, he described the material as particle board-like, and he said that is the material that is on fire, and they just can't get to it. They've been working since this call first came over on Thursday afternoon at 1:30 p.m., and they cannot get to the location of that fire because it's in between cement. So they've got engineers in looking at the situation right now, and there's an entire fire crew that have been here all day. They've been here around the clock, so there's no danger to those people who are still inside of this building, but it is being under a watchful eye of Toronto Fire as they do their damnedest to try to get this thing put out as quickly as they can. But again, as the fire chief said, safety is paramount, and safety will not be compromised. People will be allowed back into their units instantly once they are satisfied that the fire no longer exists. Here's remarks from Chief Jessup from Toronto Fire and Joanna Bevan from the City of Toronto. Here's remarks from the two of them. Let's listen.
In my 30 years, no, and I've obviously been meeting with our senior operations commanders that have been with Toronto Fire Service near 40 years. They have never seen something as complex as this. And again, the challenge is this is the combustible material. We can't access it. You're dealing with two buildings, and this was put in between an expansion joint. So we are coming up with additional strategies and plans. Again, we were up on the roof this morning, and there was visible smoke still coming out. And you're talking after 4 days of our staff continuously fighting this fire.
The emergency supports that we have been giving these residents, we have extended them till Thursday. We look at this on a daily basis, working very closely with Toronto Fire Services and our partners to continue to assess the situation and the needs. What this includes is the hotel, food, basic hygiene supplies, and some transportation expenses provided by the Canadian Red Cross as per our agreement with Canadian Red Cross. Again, we continue to look at this on a case-by-case basis.
That's 40 years of experience in fire services, and combination. Those investigators, including the chief, have not seen anything as complex as this. And the chief said that the cause, origin, and circumstances of the fire will be investigated, but only once the fire is completely killed. Back to you guys.
Okay, live in East York, CP24, Steve Ryan. Well, North York High School was locked down at the end of the school day. This is after a report of a person with a gun.
Well, a large response by police at James Cardinal McGuigan Catholic High School on Finch and Keel around 3:30. Police searched the school, but say no firearm was found, and there was no evidence of gunfire. Also, Halton police are asking for the public's help finding a missing teenager.
13-year-old Sharif Salo was last seen near Rebecca Street and 3rd Line in Oakville last night around 6. He's described as being 5'10" with a medium build and short, curly black hair, and police are concerned for safety.
He's quite new to Oakville, so our concern is that he might be lost and he might not have many friends or many people that he knows in the neighborhood. So what we're asking for people in the neighborhood to keep a lookout for, as I mentioned, have a peek in a garage, a shed, a property. Have a look around if you see a child that matches his description looking lost. That could be him.
Well, you have any information on the missing teenager, make sure to contact Halton Police.
It's 5:46, 3 below zero. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, an Ontario-based steel producer announcing it's going to be cutting jobs amid the ongoing trade war with the U.S. Well, Ontario company has been hit hard by American tariffs, and now they're slashing jobs.
Algoma Steel says that it issued about 1,000 layoff notices today. They're going to take effect March 23rd. Algoma's major buyers are in the U.S., and it had been under strain due to the 50% tariffs imposed by the Trump administration last summer. The layoffs come after it was announced in September that the Sault Ste. Marie steelmaker would get $500 million in federal and provincial loan assistance. Algoma says the cuts are needed to keep the business viable in the long term. And Defense Minister David McGuinty was asked about Algoma Steel ahead of question period today.
You said that you want to use more Canadian steel in defense. Today, Algoma announced that it's laying off 1,000 workers. How does that impact Canada's ability for getting a trade deal? Does that more pressure on your government in order to avoid future layoffs?
It's a terrible situation, as we've learned here today in Algoma, with respect to Algoma. But I think what this agreement speaks to is our efforts to diversify, to expand our markets, to prepare for Canadian companies to receive incoming investments.
Here's what Ontario's Office of Economic Development had to say, quote, as companies and sectors being targeted by President Trump's tariffs navigate ongoing economic uncertainty, our government will do whatever it takes to protect Ontario workers, businesses, and communities. We provided Algoma a $100 million loan to keep as many workers on the job as possible.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney shuffled his cabinet today.
Yeah, Montreal MP Mark Miller is back as he's now the Minister of Canadian Identity, Culture and Official Languages. Miller served as Immigration Minister under the Trudeau government. He replaces Quebec MP Stephen Guilbeault, who resigned from cabinet last week. Public Works and Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound had the role of Quebec Lieutenant added to his portfolio today, while Julie DeBrusson retains her post as Environment and Climate Change Minister, but also inherits the Nature file. The cabinet shuffle was prompted by Guilbeault's decision to step down on Thursday. He resigned from cabinet to protest a memorandum of understanding Ottawa signed with Alberta that could pave the way for the construction of an oil pipeline. Guilbeault has served as Environment Minister in the Trudeau government. He will stay on as a Liberal MP.
Right now it is 5:52, 3 below zero. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, online shoppers are on the hunt for the best bargains as retailers roll out deep discounts for Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday is here, giving shoppers another chance to score big deals after Black Friday.
Joining us live now is Victoria Kuglin. Thanks for joining us here live at 5. Okay, so what is considered a good deal? I see a lot of 25%, but anyone out there who's actually having like deep discounts here?
Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. So excited to talk about my favorite thing, which is deals. And the first ones that I would recommend are Aritzia and Sephora. They're having a 50% off. Some deals end soon, so you might want to snap them up real quick. Aritzia is also offering free shipping. The only thing is the Super Puffs are excluded, but there are tons of other amazing holiday outfits you can get in cold weather accessories. And Best Buy is another one that I would say not to be missed for sure. And if you're looking for budget friendly, Shein up to 90% off, guys.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay, so Victoria, I think you said one thing that was really important in all of this, free shipping. With these Cyber Monday deals, are you seeing free shipping like all across the board? Do we have to, look for a special promo code? Should we just say, forget about it if the shipping's not free?
It really depends. I think depending on the size of the purchase, I know a lot of brands are offering free shipping around the holidays just to kind of incentivize buyers and give them a little bit of that kickback, that value for their money. I wouldn't say it's a make or break though, because if you're buying, $500 worth of goods, the extra $10 kind of makes it worth it.
I got to ask this, though. So I've been shopping quite often, not on the company dime, obviously. I do it on my day, on my lunch breaks. But it's the duties. If you're buying something maybe that's coming from the States, sometimes the duties kind of negate all the savings. What's the best way for people to try to navigate to try to avoid those?
Shop local, guys. That's all I'm going to say. There's some really amazing places in Toronto that you can get fabulous gifts, fabulous beauty finds. Queen West has a fabulous hidden gem for menswear, Park and Province. You can get up to 60% off really cool, covetable brands that maybe you can't find in big box stores like Wax London, Portuguese Flannel, and Bather, which makes really amazing bathing suits. If you're a vintage shopper, I'd go to Mine and Yours. It's my favorite consignment shop in the city, and they're doing a 48-hour sale, 15% off, plus an extra 15% off of sale items. And from personal experience, I can tell you those deals are amazing.
Hey, Victoria, I like the shop local aspect as we look for these Cyber Monday deals. But here's the thing. If we have, maybe 6 hours left before Cyber Monday technically ends, are these deals really going to go away at midnight, or could we see even bigger deals as we get closer to Christmas? Come on.
You know what? That's a really good question. And sometimes it's a little unpredictable. Some brands, out of goodwill or call it holiday spirit, will probably extend some of their deals. We have a few deals that are staying live until December 3rd. So you have a few extra days, those precious moments to snag the things you've been looking at. But now that you can shop online, all of that stuff is way easier. You don't actually have to go to the store, and you still get the benefit of shopping local.
And I got to ask, especially if you're shopping online, maybe for someone you live with, a spouse, whoever, what's your trick to make sure they don't actually get the gift mailed to them, to the house? Like, I've been mailing stuff to CP24. Do you have any other, tips there?
Absolutely enlist a network of spies is my best piece of advice. Find friends who are willing to kind of lend you their porch, metaphorically or literally, so you could ship gifts to different places. Separate group chats. Takes a lot of coordination, but it's definitely worth the extra surprise come Christmas morning.
Okay, so Victoria, we have about 20 seconds left. You know, when doing these or taking advantage of these Cyber Monday deals, what if we get something that somebody wants to return or exchange? A lot of times there are real strict policies, huh?
Yeah, and that's sort of the one main thing that I would always tell people. The one caveat is check the return policy. A lot of great shops may have amazing deals, but they will say final sale. And in that case, I would say you better be pretty damn sure that what you're getting is what you want or what
All right,
you think.
and right there, we got to say goodbye. Lifestyle and shopping editor Victoria Kuglin, thanks a lot. It's 5:59, 3 below zero. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.